You have a BDSM relationship,
I
right?
do, indeed.
That's very interesting. Maybe can you speak to us firsthand from your relationship? How did you get involved in the community?
I got involved about 10 years ago. I'd always had very controlling relationships prior to that. I had a very good giggle. I had my chart done once by a lady, my astrological chart, and she looked at me, she said to me, "You tend to attract very controlling, domineering men." And I packed up laughing. I'm like, yes. All my relationships prior to that had been very codependent and they'd been very controlling. And I'd fought back because we live with the stigma of a codependent relationship is not the thing you want to be in, because society has told us that now. But society has also told us that men don't want to be in relationships. So we feel like as women we have to trap them, we have to catch them, okay? I accidentally met somebody on a vanilla site who was into BDSM, and from the first conversation I just knew it was like coming home. It just made sense to me. All the feelings that I'd been battling to deal with for years, all the things that I'd been pushing to one side. So for me it's things like huge possessiveness. I'm very codependent. I'm very much into ownership. I absolutely love a guy who's totally
Do you find
possessive.
people judge you when you say these things?
Yeah, but you get to a point in your life where it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Okay? At the end of the day, the only person I have to go to sleep with is me.
Yeah.
Well, my master as well, but I don't have to go to sleep with you, and I don't have to go to sleep with you and your thoughts. And is it really worth acknowledging what everybody else is thinking if it constantly makes you miserable?
I would say no.
Yes.
So you obviously call your master your master.
Yeah, I do.
So how does this relationship work?
Well, it works like any other relationship. I mean, we have a normal relationship, and that's something, we actually wrote an article recently called 6 Tips for Finding Your Own Christian Grey. It's a normal relationship. We say that in there. 24/7 is still a normal relationship. We still have bills to pay, and we still have kids to feed, and we still have chores to do, and we still have all of that. So there's the normal relationship aspect. But then there's a 24/7 total power exchange. So apart from my decisions around my child and my decisions around my business, he has final say on pretty much anything else that goes on in my life, whether it's sexual, whether it's the outfit that I'm wearing today that was chosen by him. He may come up with interesting tasks. For example, I may have to sleep cuffed for a month, okay? So which would literally mean cuffs around my ankles, cuffs around, ankles and wrists, okay? And sometimes them tied together so that I would actually sleep with that. Or he may specify that I would need to wear something underneath my clothes. For example, it could range from a butt plug to a crotch rope or whatever the case may be. There is no area of my life that he does not feel like he can have total say over, except the one that he doesn't want, which is food control, which I'm very grateful for, because there's a lot of guys who are into food and diet and exercise control, and they'd control everything you consume and how many times a week you exercise, and there's no excuses. Okay, you can't go back and kind of say, no, I'm not going to do that.
Is there ever a time when you want to say no?
Yes, there are times that you want to say no because it's not convenient. Today was a time that I wanted to say no because it's hot. It's hot in Cape Town today. And I'm wearing a pencil skirt and I'm wearing a jersey top.
And these shoes.
I know, aren't they amazing? They're his favorite shoes as well. Okay, and yes, there's many times that I want to say no, but because I've embraced the slave parts, the happiness that comes from the saying yes is so much more. And it's a big journey to get to that point. It's not just you're going to wake up overnight and you're going to be okay with it. It's like anything, it takes practice. Sex takes practice. BS relationships take an enormous amount of practice and tolerance on your part. But if you can get to the point where you do accept it, where you are okay with it, you're going to open yourself up to so much more happiness.
You said you have a child, right?
Yes.
It's a girl?
It's a girl, yes.
Would you want her to be involved in?
I would want her to be happy. Okay? For me, sexual liberation is an important part of liberation. I want her to be happy whatever she chooses. If she comes back and she's straight and she's absolutely vanilla, then that's her choice. If she comes back and she's a lesbian and she never wants to have kids, well, that's her choice, and I'm pro the not having kids, okay? But she must choose what she wants to choose. I will make the information available to her if she asks me.
Does she ask you about your current relationship?
Yes, she does. She asks me, and my philosophy is I answer questions honestly, but I would do the same for you, and I would do the same for anybody else that's sitting in front of me.
What kind of questions does she have?
Various questions. Sure, I can't think of anything off the top of my head now. She's asked questions about things like sex at times, or she's asked, the one night she walked into my room and I was sleeping cuffed and she saw the cuffs and she kind of asked about that, and I said, okay, well, it's a task that's been assigned to me.
Now, how many tasks get assigned to you?
It depends on the master.
It's just, well, how many does your master assign to you?
It really depends. I know that there's more coming next week. Okay.
How do you know that there's more coming?
He's told me.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
he's told me, yes.
Do you know what they are?
No, I have no idea what's coming up next week.
What were your tasks for this week?
Well, currently I've got to sleep cuffed every night. He will get involved in what I wear on a day-to-day basis. So for the most part, I've got to wear skirts. And things like if I want to wear jeans, like it's been colder in Joburg the last few days, I ask permission to wear jeans, okay, because he prefers skirts.
Right.
There's been exercises like I've recently learned how to do a crotch rope, and I've got to practice doing crotch rope.
What's a crotch rope?
It looks almost like a G-string made out of rope. So it's a specific way that you would tie the rope around yourself that would actually create like a panty or a G-string or whatever the case may be. And it's something that he wanted me to learn, and I have no idea where it's going, but I'm along for the ride. So I'm just going to have fun with it.
Okay, cool. So he wants you to learn these things and do these things, and does he have to tell you why, or is it just, or do you?
No. Sometimes I'll ask, sometimes I won't. The one thing that I will say from years of experience of dealing with this is if you as a submissive or a slave feel like you cannot go back and ask that question, this relationship is not for you. You need to run screaming, because a good master is also going to give you, he's going to give you the freedom of a relationship. You are still on somewhat equal footing, okay? And you need to be able to go back and say, no, that makes me uncomfortable, or no, I'm not prepared to go there. And if you do not feel like you have the power or the right to say it in your DS or MS relationship, run screaming for the hills, because then he doesn't have your best interests at heart. The great masters that I've known have all been people who've cared more about my well-being than about making me do what they want me to do. And that's something that's an enormous distinction. A lot of ladies are thinking that this guy's going to come along and then he's just got say over everything. No. You have to know that you are comfortable enough to say no. You are allowed hard limits. You are allowed to negotiate. You are allowed to negotiate up front. And anybody that does not give you that right, that is not an MS relationship. That is abuse.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you negotiate often, or do you?
We do. We talk, but we talk on an ongoing basis.
Okay.
For some people, you must understand that BDSM, it's this very umbrella term that's everything that's not vanilla sex. So some people are just kinksters, some people are just hedonists, some people are just fetishists, okay? Some people will come along and they've only got a foot fetish, or they've only got a panty fetish. Some people only play sexually, okay? For them, the DS stuff only happens in a sexual environment. Some people are neither dominant nor submissive, they're switches. They like to sometimes be dominant and sometimes be submissive. For some people, it's a very casual sex play thing. For others in the community, it's a very deep, bonded, emotional relationship. So there's no standards. There's no right way of doing it. There's no wrong way of doing it. There's no, you have to do it by these guidelines, and you don't want that either. This is your journey. It is your sexual exploration. And the thing that is important is that you are enjoying it all the way along, because it's meant to be pleasurable. It's meant to be fun, and it's meant to be living out your fantasy. And everything you do is meant to contribute towards strengthening your relationship. And if you happen to be a person who's into polygamy, or you're into swinging, or you're into casual sex, then good for you, because that's your choice too. Don't let anybody tell you that there's a right way or a wrong way of doing it.